When dealing with a patient or loved one that suffers from dementia, keep in mind that they can often be prone to aggressive speech or behavior. Statements such as, "I don't want to take a shower," "I don't want to go home," or "I don't want to eat that" may escalate into aggressive behavior. The most important thing to remember about verbal or physical aggression is that a person is not doing it on purpose. Most of the time, these outbursts are likely triggered by physical discomfort, environmental factors such as being in an unfamiliar situation, or even poor communication. The worst thing you can do when a person you care about is reacting in this way is to engage in an argument or try to restrain them physically. The key to responding to aggression caused by dementia is to try to identify the cause. What is the person feeling to make them behave aggressively? Once you've made sure they aren't putting themselves or anyone else in danger, you can try to shift focus to something else, speaking in a calm, reassuring manner. Familiarize yourself with some of the common situations that arise when someone has dementia, so that if your loved one says something shocking, you'll know how to respond calmly and effectively. For more information, visit alz.org. Patients who suffer from Alzheimer's or dementia can often experience extreme confusion concerning time or place. Watch for statements such as, "I want to go home," "This isn't my house," "When are we leaving?" or "Why are we here?" Wanting to go home is one of the most common reactions for Alzheimer's or dementia patients living in memory care facilities. Remember that Alzheimer's causes progressive damage to cognitive functioning, and this is what creates the confusion and memory loss. Lengthy explanations or reasons are not the way to go when trying to comfort a loved one in this state. In fact, a lot of times they can trigger this kind of response. Instead, there is a few possible ways to respond to questions that indicate your loved one is confused about where he or she is. Simple explanations along with photos and other tangible reminders can help. Sometimes, however, it can be better to redirect the person, particularly in cases where you're in the process of moving your loved one into a facility or other location. Familiarize yourself with some of the common situations that arise when someone has Alzheimer's or dementia, so that if your loved one has something shocking to say, you'll know how to respond calmly and effectively. For more information, visit alz.org. People with Alzheimer's can suffer from poor judgment and cognitive problems. This is due to a deterioration of the brain and can lead to delusions, errors in judgment or thinking, and untrue beliefs. Some of these problems are obvious, such as when someone is hoarding household items or accuses a family member of stealing something. Some are more subtle, however, and the person may not realize that they are having any trouble at all. What you shouldn't do in these circumstances is to blatantly question the person's ability to handle the situation at hand or try to argue with them. Responses that can be interpreted as accusatory or doubting the person's abilities often only serve to anger and put them on the defensive. Instead, try to assess the extent of the problem by other means, like making sure their bills are being paid or even just having them figure out the tip at a restaurant. If you see that they're struggling with these activities, remember to be encouraging and reassuring. You can often minimize frustration and embarrassment by offering help in small ways with staying organized. Familiarize yourself with some of the common situations that arise when someone has Alzheimer's or dementia so that you'll know how to respond calmly and effectively. For more information, visit alz.org.